In one of my last videos, I talked about how every YouTuber sounds like AI, but what if they got their ideas from AI itself? I asked 4 AIs for video ideas, gave them the same exact prompt, and we are going to see if these are good ideas or bad ideas. Ideally, the whole point is going to be saying you don't need AI, but we'll get to that later. ChatGPT's idea. The internet made weak men comfortable, and the gym won't fix it. Now, is this a video idea I would have? Yeah, probably, but I would not word it that way. Because to be weak is to be strong, kind of, right? There's 2 types of weak. There is weakness that is, you don't try, you have a fixed mindset, you don't want to do any type of good, or you don't want to change. That's a bad weak. And then there is meek, which a lot of the hustle bros might call weakness, where you are strong, you do self-improve in all this, but you don't show it, and you lower yourself, you humble yourself when you come across someone who is weaker than you. Think of it like Clavicular. He is a doomer guy who had a shitty upbringing, and instead of, once he got to the place he wanted to be, instead of changing things, he simply became what destroyed him in the first place.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy this sin, not join them!
It's like that. That's the bad weak. The good weak is someone like Jesus, someone like Thor's from Vinland Saga. You'd say he's not weak, but he's meek. He's not weak, but the modern culture might call him weak, if that makes sense. So, I had ChatGPT write me a script. You heard what I said. This is what ChatGPT has to say. One of the biggest lies modern men have accepted is that suffering can be outsourced. Lonely? Download another app. Bored? Scroll. Sad? Consume. Feel like a loser? Watch another self-improvement video. Everything has become frictionless, even our distractions. The internet has become one giant machine designed to make sure you never have to sit alone with yourself. And that's exactly why so many men are miserable, because every moment of silence, every uncomfortable thought, every ounce of responsibility can be escaped with the tap of a finger. Years ago, if a man felt ashamed of himself, eventually he had to face it. There wasn't an endless feed waiting to anesthetize him. Today, there is. We're overstimulated but underdeveloped. We know 1,000 productivity hacks. We know every fitness influencer. We know the newest dopamine protocol. Yet we still avoid the one thing that would actually change us, looking honestly at ourselves. There's a reason scripture says, be still. Most people can't. Not because they're busy, because the silence is terrifying. Silence forces you to confront who you really are. Dude, I've already made this video 1,000,000 times. ChatGPT just consolidated it and made it more AI talk. It's super flowery language, but like, it's just saying what I've already talked about. Does that make sense? I don't know. It has the style points, but it sounds so similar to every other video that does it really? I like my style. It's goofy, it's random, but it's clunky. I like that clunkiness. Some people don't, but you know, that's where the internet steps in. It promises connection, instead it gives spectatorship. It promises knowledge, instead it gives information without wisdom. Exactly, it gives information without wisdom, huh, ChatGPT? It promises purpose, instead it gives endless content about purpose. Notice something. You can spend 6 hours watching videos about discipline without doing a single disciplined thing. Knowledge has become another form of entertainment. You know, Marcus Aurelius actually spoke about that. This is my own thought, not ChatGPT. Yeah, he said, throw away your books as if you're going to die tomorrow. Like, don't constantly be looking for more and more knowledge. Only take what is useful. Reddit is the perfect example. Go into almost any subreddit. You'll find thousands of people writing essays about the life they should live while continuing not to live it. Every problem becomes another discussion, another debate, another thread, another excuse to postpone action. And before anyone says I'm just picking on Reddit, no, YouTube does it, TikTok does it, Instagram does it. Even Christian content can become another dopamine hit. I was about to say that, which is wild that ChatGPT said it. Yeah, no, you've seen my videos, especially on my reels if you follow me on Instagram. Hey, go follow me on Instagram. There's so many Christian content creators who are just Pharisees. They're just modern Pharisees. They just use their knowledge of theology to be better than people rather than trying to help them. You listen to sermons all day, but never pray. You consume theology, but never repent. You learn apologetics, but never love your neighbor. You mistake consuming Christianity for following Christ. The same thing happens with Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius wasn't journaling so strangers on the internet could quote him over Sigma edits. He was trying to become a better man. Epictetus didn't tell people to admire philosophy. He told them to practice it. There's a massive difference. The internet has convinced us that identity comes from what we know instead of what we repeatedly do. And nowhere is this more obvious than the gym. Now, before you get mad, I love lifting. I've been lifting for years. About 3 years. I know, it's not much for 3 years, but I'm trying my best and I'm short. Shut up. Natural bodybuilding has taught me discipline. It taught me consistency. It's made me healthier. The gym is good, but we've turned it into a substitute religion. Some guys think putting on 20 pounds of muscle will solve every problem in their life. It will. I'm kidding. Brother, you can squat 500 pounds and still be too weak to apologize. You can have abs and still be enslaved to lust. You can bench 3 plates and still be terrified of rejection. Physical strength is a gift, but character isn't measured in pounds. You can't progressively overload humility. You can't bulk your integrity. You can't hit a PR in forgiveness. Those muscles are trained somewhere else. Christianity says the battle begins in the heart. Stoicism says it begins in the mind. Neither says it begins in the mirror. The uncomfortable truth is that most men don't actually want to become stronger. They want to feel stronger. Those are not the same thing. Real strength is choosing what is difficult over what is easy. This is my own thought here. It's akin to bodybuilding, right? The way to build most muscle is to have worse leverages rather than better leverages. You end up weaker compared to like a power lifter, but you build more muscle because of that weakness, because you're making the weaknesses stronger. Telling the truth when lying would be easier. Forgiving when revenge feels better. Praying when you'd rather distract yourself. Closing the app when your thumb reaches for it automatically. Showing up when nobody is watching. That's strength. The irony is, the internet has connected billions of people while making genuine brotherhood rarer than ever. We have followers instead of friends. Communities instead of neighbors. What? No, you want communities. I think it means like online communities, like group chats and stuff. That's not so bad. Community is neighbors. It doesn't matter. Algorithms instead of mentors. The early Christians didn't have recommendation feeds. The Stoics didn't have motivational edits. They had reality, and reality demanded action. Maybe that's what we're missing. Less optimization, more obedience. Less consumption, more practice. Less performance, more virtue. So here's a challenge. Tonight, don't put on another podcast. Don't open Reddit. Don't start scrolling. Sit in silence for 15 minutes. No music, no phone, no stimulation. Just you and God. Yes, I do agree with that, even though it was a demonic robot telling us that. And right after it says this, or if you don't believe in God, just you and your own thoughts. Bad idea. Well, it's got to be controlled. This is my own thoughts, by the way. It's got to be controlled in a way because your thoughts can lead you astray. If you're just thinking about how sad you are, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to get more depressed. But if you just let the boredom come and pass, it's meditation, essentially, without labeling it meditation. When you meditate, thoughts arise, either negative or positive. You let them all pass by you, like a wave. They just come, you acknowledge them, you let them go. To find the greatness, being bored, sitting, and letting the good thoughts come in, and thinking critically about them. Being like, an idea will come and say, I don't know, just for example, an idea about a good arm day. You're like, that might be a good idea to share with my followers. So you think it through, you'd be like, would it be good to make an arm day video? If so, you continue down that path. You just keep asking yourself questions and you keep adding to it. Or you can take notes on it. Or you can just write down the idea, then let it pass so you have it, and then you'll find more. But when it's just negative stuff and you're stewing on it, it's just going to make you super depressed. A good way is to go on a walk for me. I know Elijah Long hates walks. He despises them, but walks are awesome. For him, I think it's the root cause of why people walk, because the internet told them to. But no, going on a walk when you're having a bad day, it's a nice thing. Nietzsche went on walks. All right. Or if you don't believe in God, just you and your own thoughts. See what comes up, because the person you've been trying to outrun is probably the person you need to meet. The internet made weak men comfortable, but comfort has never produced saints. It has never produced philosophers, and it has never produced men worth remembering. That was the ChatGPT script. Not so bad, but kind of, I wouldn't say repetitive, but cliche to ChatGPT. The information is probably good there because, I'm using this account that I used to take all my notes in and everything, so it has so much information on me and how I think. But this is something I would make, like, very easily. It's just I wouldn't word it this way because it's too... I don't know, I don't like it. And it's also AI, so it chugs water every second. I'm going to hell for making this video. I can't lie. Oh, this is editing, Matt. I'm going to rate all of them. For the ChatGPT script, I'm rating it a 3 out of 5. It's nothing special. It's average. I could do better myself, thinking. So the script Grok wrote for me is so much video to do. So this is gonna be annoying. Just a reminder, this is what Grok told me to say. What's up, warriors? If you're tired of gym bros promising shortcuts, pills, and injections, this video is for you. Today I'm breaking down exactly how I built this natty physique. No steroids, no TRT, no excuses. By fusing two of the most powerful mindsets in history. Stoicism from Marcus Aurelius and the teachings of Jesus Christ. This isn't theory. This is what actually worked for me through injuries, plateaus, doubt, and real life. If you're a Christian who wants to get jacked, a Stoic who's open to faith, or just someone sick of mediocrity, stick with me. Hit that like button if you're ready to stop making excuses. Let's get into it. My rock bottom. A few years ago, I was skinny fat, inconsistent, and mentally soft. I'd start programs, quit after 3 weeks. I'd scroll Reddit at 2 a.m., comparing myself to juiced up physiques and feeling like crap. Then I got serious. I started reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius every morning and diving deeper into the Gospels. What I discovered changed everything. The gym became my arena, my monastery, and my battlefield at the same time. Stoicism taught me to control what I can and endure what I must. Christianity gave me a why bigger than aesthetics, discipline as worship, my body as a temple. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Together, they forged a physique I'm proud of. Natural, sustainable, and built with integrity. Section 1. The Stoic Foundation. The iron teaches virtue. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a bodybuilder, but he was an emperor who trained his mind and body under extreme pressure. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In the gym, that means the bar doesn't care about your feelings. Missed reps, bad sleep, life stress, endure. Focus on what's in your control. Your effort, your form, your consistency. Amor fati, love of fate. Brutal leg day you want to skip? That's the one that builds you. Stoicism killed my victim mentality. No more. I don't feel like it. I started treating every workout like a stoic exercise in virtue. Courage on heavy compounds. Temperance in the kitchen. Wisdom in programming. Justice in pushing myself without ego. Practical stoic training rules I live by. Morning routine. 10 to 15 minutes reading meditations and journaling. What I can control today. Negative visualization. Before a set, briefly imagine quitting or getting injured. Then attack the set with gratitude that I can train. Voluntary discomfort. Cold showers, fasting windows, heavy basics over fancy machines. The iron punishes weakness and rewards resilience. That last one has problems, but I'll get to it after the script. This mindset alone took me from struggling with 225 on bench to repping it for sets naturally. I can only do like 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know what he's talking about. The Christian fuel. Discipline as worship. But Stoicism left something missing. It's a great operating system, but it doesn't give ultimate purpose or grace when you fail. This is actually true, and a thought I had when I first started reading the Gospels. I lacked something in Stoicism, and when my heart was broken, I broke down completely, and Jesus was there to pick up the pieces and heal me. It's beautiful. That's where Jesus steps in. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit? 1 Corinthians 6:19. I started seeing training as stewardship. God gave me this one body, and I'm called to honor it, not trash it or worship it as an idol. Christianity added grace for failure. Missed a week, got weak, repent, get back up. No self-flagellation, just forward momentum. Prayer and surrender. I pray before big lifts, not for PRs, but for strength, focus, and humility. That is true. When I first read the Bible, when I was going into the gym, I would pray Philippians 4:13. I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Like before heavy deadlifts and stuff, I would do it, and it would work. I would literally be given the strength to hit those PRs. That's based on my own faith. So, like, if you are of a weaker faith, don't be surprised if it doesn't help you. But I just think it's really awesome that it was how cool it worked. Service mindset. Getting stronger so I can protect my family, serve my community, and have energy to live out my faith. The Bible is full of warriors and discipline. David, Samson, Paul running the race with endurance. Hebrews 12:1. I combine this with Stoicism. Stoic discipline plus Christian purpose, unstoppable force. Stoicism, Christianity, Neo-Stoicism. I'm going to make a video on that very, very, very soon. I'm almost done at the book. Real talk. There were dark times. Injury, burnout, life chaos. Stoicism kept me showing up. Faith kept me from despair. Here's the practical system. Training, 4 to 5 days a week, full body or upper lower. That's wrong. I do push-pull legs. But heavy compounds first. Squat, deadlift, bench, overhead press, rows, pull-ups. Progressive overload is king. Track everything. 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 12 reps. Intensity over volume. What? This is... And deloads? What? I don't do deloads. I'm not reading that. High protein. 1 gram per pound of body weight. Whole foods. Caloric surplus for growth. Controlled cuts. Fasting windows for discipline. Fasting is awesome for losing weight and spiritual anything. It helps your mental health too. Yeah. So, yeah. AI is problematic. Who would have thought? I imagine it's going to get worse and worse as we go on. But that was Grok's. I rate the Grok script a 4 out of 5 just because of the goofiness factor. A better way I would do this is kind of just make a video about Neo-Stoicism and put gym stuff into it. I'll actually, down below, let me know if you want this Grok script to be a normal human script based on my own critical thinking and whatnot, and I'll do that. Alright, now for Geminis. Reddit is a magical place. You can learn how to fix a plumbing leak, find a community for your obscure hobby, and find some of the worst, most toxic fitness advice known to mankind. The internet loves extremes. It's either grind until your joints explode, or don't even try because your genetics hate you. But today we are clearing out the noise. We are taking a look at some of the wildest fitness advice on Reddit and filtering it through 2 of the ultimate frameworks for mental and spiritual resilience, Stoicism and Scripture, because fixing your body always starts with fixing your mind. Let's dive in. First up, we have the all or nothing panic. If it's not a perfect 90-minute workout, it's a failure. If you eat 1 slice of pizza, the whole week is ruined. Here's what the Stoic philosopher Epictetus would say to this Redditor. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then what do you have to do? Epictetus reminds us that character and fitness is built through consistent small choices, not one single flawless day. A missed workout doesn't erase months of discipline unless you let it. The scripture perspective. Proverbs 24:16 tells us, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again." Fitness isn't a straight line to the top. It's about how quickly you get back up after a disruption. Did you miss a day? Fine. Don't punish yourself. Don't throw in the towel. Just show up today. When I had to sign up for Claude, it told me to make a name, so I picked the only logical name I thought of, G Rizzy. Claude by far gave me the most in-depth one. or at least the most detailed one. Every gym bro on the internet has a Marcus Aurelius quote in their bio. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Very cool, very profound. Meanwhile, they're running a 2-week blast and injecting themselves in a Planet Fitness parking lot. Okay, you can tell this doesn't care because usually gym bros don't go to Planet Fitness. It's a whole meme, don't worry about it. Here's the thing, though. He said the line, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I actually think Marcus Aurelius would have trained hard. And I think he would have been completely, stubbornly, philosophically natty. Let me explain. Let me explain also as an AI thing. Who was Marcus Aurelius actually? Before we get into this, we have to understand who this guy actually was, because most people only know him from the quotes. And I think most people know him as a Roman emperor, but maybe I'm just spoiled because I'm a Stoicism nerd. Marcus Aurelius was Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth while also writing what might be the most honest personal journal in human history, the Meditations. And here's what's wild about the Meditations. He never intended anyone to read it. It was written entirely for himself. No audience, no performance. That's actually true. When he died, he wanted it to be burned when he died. A lot of people don't know that. And it also makes Ryan Holiday selling his own version of Meditations a luxury version for like $100. I don't know if he still does that since I made that video calling him out, but he did for a while there. I hope he doesn't still, because Marcus Aurelius would not like that. But anyways, back to the video. I'm sidetracked. I'm sidetracking. That's important, because what you get is a man in real dialogue with his own failures, his own laziness, his own ego, not a highlight reel, an honest log. He was also a Stoic philosopher, and not the Instagram kind. Real Stoicism, the kind where you're actually doing the work of examining your own character every single day. Now here's the physical side of Marcus that people don't talk about. The man was not soft. He led military campaigns on the Danube for years. He was not sitting in a palace eating grapes. He was in the field, in the cold, writing the Meditations at night in a military tent. That's the context. He trained because Roman emperors had to. War was not optional. So we're not talking about a fragile philosopher. We're talking about a man who had every reason to care about physical capability and also had the philosophical framework to think very deeply about why he was doing it. What Stoicism actually says about the body. Host back on camera, leaning forward like this. This is the core argument. Here's where the natty argument starts getting really interesting. Stoicism draws a very clean line between two categories of things. Things within your control, your judgments, your effort, your character, your choices, and things outside of your control. Fame, money, other people's opinions, outcomes you can't guarantee. The Stoics called the first category prohairesis, the faculty of choice. Everything in that category is yours to own. Everything outside it is, in the Stoic word, indifferent. Now apply that framework to PEDs. What does taking steroids actually represent? At its core, it's an attempt to shortcut a result, to use a pharmacological lever to produce a physical outcome that your natural body, with your natural training and your natural discipline, wouldn't produce on the same timeline. For a Stoic, especially one as self-aware as Marcus, that's philosophically uncomfortable because you're outsourcing the outcome to something external. You're not trusting the process, you're hacking the machine instead of mastering it. And Marcus Aurelius wrote explicitly about this. Not about steroids, obviously, but about the seduction of shortcuts. He wrote about how easy it is to confuse seeming good with being good. He was obsessed with authenticity over performance. He literally wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here, never esteem anything. Notice how it says he literally wrote, and then he says, I'm paraphrasing. Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. Would injecting exogenous testosterone break his self-respect? I think, genuinely, yes. But would he even care about aesthetics? Now, here's the pushback I can already hear. Marcus wouldn't have cared about how jacked he looked. He literally wrote that the body is temporary. He wouldn't have thought bodybuilding is vain. And okay, Fair. He did think vanity was a vice. He did write about the meaninglessness of physical appearance in the long arc of time. There's a passage in Meditations where he essentially says, think about all the great men of history. Where are they now? Dust. So stop worrying about how you look. But here's the distinction, and this is crucial. Marcus Aurelius separated vanity from virtue through the body. The Stoics, including Marcus, had enormous respect for physical discipline. Epictetus, one of Marcus's biggest influences, was a former slave who practiced physical hardship deliberately. Cold exposure, fasting, difficult physical conditions, not for aesthetics, but for character development. Not just that. Cato the Younger, he would deliberately walk when all his soldiermen were on horses. He would walk next to them and his friends, etc., barefoot, as a form of asceticism. All right. The Stoic idea was that the body is a tool and you should keep your tools sharp. Marcus himself wrote about waking up early, even when he didn't want to. He wrote about the temptation to stay in the warm bed and the discipline of rejecting that comfort. Sound familiar? That's the same psychological battle happening in every gym at 5 a.m. right now. He wasn't training to look good at the beach. He was training because discipline itself was the point. Because doing hard things that you don't have to do is how you build the character to handle the hard things you can't avoid. So would he care about aesthetics? No. He would train anyway, hard, consistently, for his whole life. Yes. Or would he train anyway, hard, consistently, for his whole life? Absolutely, yes. The natty argument, making it explicit. So let me make the natty argument explicit because I want to steelman it as hard as possible. Reason number 1, Stoics valued the authentic over the enhanced. Marcus wrote constantly about the gap between appearance and reality. He was suspicious of anything that made you seem better without making you better. Steroids give you a body that your actual discipline and genetics wouldn't produce. For Marcus, that's not an achievement, it's a mask, and he despised masks. The process was the point, not the outcome. Here's a line that hits different in the gym context. Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The whole Stoic project is about finding what is genuinely yours. Your natural strength, built by your genuine effort, is yours. Pharmacologically enhanced strength, that belongs to the compound, not to you. Marcus would have known the difference and cared deeply about it. Reason number 3, he would have seen through the rationalizations. One thing Marcus was exceptionally good at was catching himself rationalizing. The Meditations are full of him calling out his own mental gymnastics. He literally wrote about the way the mind invents clever reasons to do what it wants to do anyways. Sound like anyone who's ever talked themselves into a first cycle? It's not that big of a deal. Everyone at this level is doing it. My natural ceiling is just lower. I've already put in years of work. The health risks are overblown. Marcus would have read that monologue, recognized it immediately as rationalization, and gone back to the squat rack. Section 5, the counter-argument. Would he actually care? Let me be honest about the counter-argument, because there is one. A hardcore Stoic could argue that steroids themselves are indifferent, neither good nor bad in themselves. A knife isn't moral. A compound isn't moral. What matters is the intention behind its use and how it shapes your character. If Marcus were, say, a general who needed to recover faster from wounds to continue defending Rome, could you construct a Stoic justification for the performance-enhancing substance? Maybe. If the goal is service and duty, not ego and appearance, the calculus changes. There's also the Stoic respect for medicine. Marcus worked closely with Galen. It's probably pronounced Galen. Literally one of the most famous physicians in history. He wasn't anti-science. He wasn't a hair shirt ascetic who refused all intervention. So the nuanced version of the argument is Marcus would not have used PEDs for aesthetic or competitive reasons. He would have found that motivation shallow and vain, but he also wasn't dogmatic enough to say the compounds themselves are evil. He would have asked the question he always asked, why are you doing this? What is the real motive? Does it reflect who you want to be? For 95% of gym goers, the honest answer disqualifies it. Actually, I would say 99%. Unless you're like someone like Ronnie Coleman, then you don't need to be on steroids. That's my opinion. What is the real motive? For an emperor trying to serve his people, who knows? But we're not talking about an emperor on a military campaign. We're talking about Marcus Aurelius alone in his tent writing about his inner life. That Marcus, natty, no question. What he would have actually trained like. Okay, let's have some fun and actually speculate on what Marcus Aurelius' training would look like if he were alive today. First, he would not have been a powerlifter. He wasn't interested in the number. The number is an external thing. He would have been suspicious of anyone who defined themselves by a PR. He also wouldn't have been a bodybuilder. The aesthetics focus, the stage, the posing, that's all performance, all appearance. It's an art form. Both are art forms, but I get what it's trying to say. He explicitly wrote about how absurd it is to care what other people think of you. A bodybuilding show is literally structured around what other people think of how you look. That's the opposite of stoic. I think Marcus Aurelius would have done something functional and hard. Oh, we're getting in the functional group. This is where it starts to nosedive. They always nosedive at some point. Something without a clear external metrics. My guess, he would have been a rucking, cold plunge calisthenics guy, waking up before dawn, no headphones, probably training alone or with one trusted training partner, so like the David Goggins type. He would have kept a training journal. Obviously, the man journaled everything. You should have a training journal. You should always have a training log, by the way. You're not going to be able to remember everything you did. The man journaled everything, but not to track PRs. Oh. To track his effort and his attitude. That's actually pretty cool. I should do that. Did I show up when I didn't want to? Did I maintain form when I was tired? Did I do it for the right reasons today? He would have been the guy at the gym who nobody knew was strong until they saw him train. No social media. No earned, not given hoodie. Just quiet, consistent work. And he would have eaten simply. Probably not tracking macros with an app, but also not being sloppy about it. Stoics practiced occasional fasting and voluntary discomfort around food. Not to be miserable, but to prove to themselves that they could handle it. Honestly, he would have had a very reasonable, very sustainable, very boring training life, and he would have been completely at peace with that. Here's the bigger point underneath all of this. There are a lot of people using Marcus Aurelius quotes as aesthetic, as personal branding, as a vibe. The Stoic aesthetic is everywhere. The brutal workouts, the cold showers, the disciplined porn content. And some of that is great. If it gets people in the gym and living intentionally, I'm not complaining. But Marcus Aurelius, the actual person, was interested in one thing above everything else. The gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. He wasn't performing stoicism. He was grinding at it privately, imperfectly, for decades. So if you got a Marcus quote in your bio while also running a cycle and telling yourself it's because you're serious about the craft, I'm not judging you. Do what you want with your body. But Marcus would have judged you, gently, thoughtfully, in a private journal that he never intended anyone to read. He would have written something like, you say you want virtue. You take the shortcut. Examine the gap between those things. The gap is where your real work is. He would have been natty. Not because he was afraid of gear, but because he understood that the whole point of the hard thing is that it's hard. That's the video. If you made it to the end, you're probably either a philosophy nerd, a gym rat, or some beautiful combination of both. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of thing. Links in the description to actual... Yeah, I'm not putting links to that. And I'll see you in the next one. I don't know. That one was the longest one. The most in-depth one, and like kind of the best one, I would say, in terms of how it conveyed what the actual topic was. It's still used all the AI speak, the not this, that, blah blah blah, but it wasn't as bad. So don't use AI, but if you're going to use AI to make slop for your scripts, we have found out that Claude is the best one. Don't do it, though. AI fucking destroys the world. And people. I shouldn't even have done what I did here. But I thought it would be good to raise awareness. The original goal of this video was to... let's face it. I wanted to make a video, to grow my account. But also, the bigger thing is... I wanted to see how shitty AI would make scripts. and it's kind of scary that they're actually decent. Someday, it's going to be indistinguishable. We are going into a scary world. But we have God, we have big giant magnets, and humanity always finds a way. I love you all, and God bless. Yeah, Claude I'd rate the same as I did Grok. A little bit higher. I know I did 4.5 stars for Grok, even though I said 4, but I can't in good conscience put Claude at 5 because it's AI. So it's the best of the worst, if that makes sense. Thank you to my one and only patron, Alexander. You are the best. I'm going to DM you actually and ask if you'd like a custom message to put on this video. If you guys would like to see your name at the end of the video, go down to the description, click on my link, and subscribe to my Patreon. Only $3. That was the minimum price I could make it. I'm sorry, I would have made it lower if I could. You can donate more than that if you want, but that's not necessary. Bye-bye now.